And welcome to the review of Kamen Nigo, the real bone version. And yes, there are actually some subtle differences between this one and Kamen Ichigo, aside from the different painted gloves, boots, and of course the most obvious different lining on his suit. But before we get to that, let's take a closer look at the figure itself. The head sculpt is the same as Ichigo, exactly the same. In fact, these antenna pieces and spare parts can be swapped between them. So if you buy Ichigo and Nigo, then you have 4 spare antennas in case you lose any of them. And the problem's also consistent here. I noticed that with Ichigo and this one, that his left, so our right, antenna tends to come a little bit more loose than the other one. That's not been fixed here with Nigo. But aside from those issues, you might just want to super glue it down or something if you want to. The overall helmet sculpt is excellent, compound eyes are pretty decent, and here's just a quick look at the back of that. Moving on to the torso, the overall armor pieces seem to be the same, at least the stomach, but these two top pieces are slightly different. There's a huge ugly molding line going down the front on both of these. There's a little bit of paint chip because of that, and it screams of being cheaper than Ichigo, like it was produced in more of a slightly less budget compared to Ichigo. So that's annoying. It's showing some of the signs of just I hate those lines coming down. That's terrible. If anyone else has an Nigo like that with some molding lines on the chest, let me know. Aside from that, the paint job overall is a little bit different compared to Ichigo. I guess that's just different shadings and different colorings, but if you look closely, the linings and stuff are quite different from Ichigo's figure. The back molding seems to be the same as Ichigo, same as the belt buckle. Down at the belt, this seems to be exactly the same as Ichigo's as well, so whatever differences are just down to pure randomness. The arm also got different from Ichigo, there's one silver line going down the middle, and of course we have the red gloves and fists, but the arms, the red area here, and the boots are exactly the same mold as Ichigo. Down there at his pants, the molding is also different with the silver lining, and I guess because they figured they had to remold it anyway, they did change up the clothing's folds and creases just a little bit, so it does look different to Ichigo when you put them side by side, but it's mostly hard to notice. Here's a quick look at the bottom of the shoes. Accessory wise, apart from the fists already attached to the figure, we also have palm hands for henshining, relaxed hands, spray open hands, and item/bike holding hands. We also have an extra pair of hand shaking hands that you can have Nigo shaking hands with Ichigo. We have the spare 2 antennas just like Ichigo does, exact same molds there, molded in transparent plastic with silver paint on top of it. And then we have the 2 scars, one in relaxed and one in flying position, and both of these are actually different molds, different shapes compared to Ichigo's. Putting them side by side, you can notice a bit more, hopefully, that the molding is indeed different with the scarves. And you probably notice the color difference between the chest armor pieces as well. Other than that, they're really close figures because, well, they should be. Next up, meter articulation is also going to be identical to Ichigo, so head goes back, head goes forward, sideways, sideways, and full rotation here, so that's the double neck joint. Chest pieces here are on a rotating joint just so they can get out of the way when the arms are moving. Arms on a double shoulder socket joint, arms up, full rotation here, full rotation on the upper arm, double elbow joint. Let's get the scarf out of the way. The scarf is articulated as well. It's got the ball peg and this thing actually swivels around the neck, so that's very useful. Anyway, back to the arm. Peg and swivel joint, so you move quite a lot. Torso can go back a lot, forward a lot, sideways, sideways, and full rotation here in the lower hip but not the upper body due to the shape of this body. And the belt is loose from the rest of the torso. Legs can go sideways, up, back. Articulation, rotation here. It's quite stiff. Double knee joint. Foot on a peg and swivel. Toe joint and toe joint down. The instructions are quite easy to follow, showing you the hands that you can swap, the hand shaking accessory, as well as, hey, you can replace the antennas if you get any miss. Much like the Ichigo figure, I think that both the old and new have their own merits. These ones are far more screen accurate, of course, but if you don't have these to compare to, the old ones aren't that bad. This isn't like Kabuto jumping to the version 2, or Kuro jumping to version 2, or Agito jumping to version 2. The version 1s of the Showa Riders were released much later than the first Heisei Rider releases, so they're already starting to improve the designs and techniques, meaning that all of the Showa riders are actually honestly not that bad. The joints are smoother on the originals and they're much more fun to play around with. So bottom line is, if you want something for display, photo shoots and realism and just something that looks exactly like the show, get the new ones. If you already have the old ones and you just want something to mess around with, play around with, like an actual toy action figure, actually messing with it, the old ones will do better. And of course, since this is pretty much the exact same figure as Ichigo, he's going to get the same problems as Ichigo has with some of the older bikes. The first ever Cyclone is not good for these figures. You're going to have a hard time bending these figures and moving them forward so they sit properly on the bike. The second bike is a bit better, and the third one is okay. And of course, they did release a second version of the new Cyclone bike, which I think the shape's altered just ever so slightly for these newer figures. But honestly, the old one fits relatively fine with these figures, so you don't need to get that at all. That bike's mostly for people who didn't get the original. So yeah, for something that displays better but is a little bit more stiff, get this one. For something that's smooth and fun to play with, get the old one. Besides, the colorings and the details and looks of the old one aren't that bad to begin with. Now here's wondering if Bandai released a Shocker Rider version when they can just release the same figure again and just give us like 9 scarves in different colors. I wouldn't put it past them. As always, if you like this video, click the like button, subscribe button if you haven't done so already. YouTube also favors videos with more comments now, so leave a comment below how you think about this figure and how you feel about it if they just release another one of these with the yellow gloves for the Shocker Riders. And yes, I saw that they're making the Wizard version 2 now, and we still don't have a Kiva Figuarts. If you're pissed off about that too, you can leave a comment about where's Kiva, hashtag where's Kiva, where's Kiva, where's SHF Kiva, ugh. And seriously, for figures that already have SHFs, why Wizard? I mean, yeah, it looks way better than the old one. The old one's like one of the worst Figuarts ever made, but plenty of other more deserving riders who would deserve a version 2.0, such as Thighs. He's got turkey legs, drumstick upper legs. He could use a real bone version, couldn't he? I mean, we have the model kit, but that's not Figuarts, so... Subscribe, suggest, and comment below. Guys, take care, have a nice day. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye now. And don't forget to visit my Facebook or Flickr page for the photo shoots I do for every single Figuarts I review. So there's a lot of photos there, and I try to improve all the time, and definitely appreciate, more feedback from those. Maybe you might find one that's good enough for a phone wallpaper, maybe?